Hey guys, welcome back to Woman Untamed. I'm so excited to be here today with Anaiya Sophia, someone I deeply respect and really love to follow and engage with her work. She is a Myrrhophore, a mistress of sacred oils, a mystic and author of transmissive wisdom. She carries an oral mystery that stirs the remembrance of a continuous lineage with the feminine principle that throughout the centuries has preserved its spiritual dignity without the need for permission or recognition from any other source. So Anaiya, thanks so much for being here with me today. You've also got an amazing book coming out, Fierce Feminine Rising. So everyone make a note to get this as soon as possible. It's already available for pre-order. Anaiya also does a lot of work around sacred relationship and sacred body awakening. That is really beautiful. And I'm so happy to be here with you today, Anaiya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is my real honor to be here also.
Yay. So it looks like you have a background as well in Kundalini Yoga. Was that kind of an entry point for you into some of your awakening journey and a lot of what you bring through today? Or how did that all look for you?
Oh, definitely. Kundalini Yoga came to me at the classic age of 28, which is Saturn's return. This is a moment where we often get forced into a corner where we're asked, is this the kind of lifestyle you want to continue to lead? Or would you like to make a change at this point? And I was a fashion designer in London. And
Oh,
as
wow.
fun and as glamorous and as exciting as that was, I wanted to make a change.
What was coming
Yeah.
up for you at that time? Because that must have been a hard decision with, all of the validation of that being such a cool career. What was coming up for you at that time that allowed you to really say yes to yourself?
Well, I remember realizing that I'd reached the height of my game.
Mm-hmm.
I was dressing the Prodigy and Bjork and
Oh,
on
wow.
occasion Madonna. So it was really appealing to that side of me. But there was no depth in it. There
Mm-hmm.
was no depth, there was no intimacy. My soul was still restless. And I knew there was only more of the same up ahead.
Yeah.
And so I took that massive leap of faith where I left my own company. I
Oh,
left it in
wow.
the hands of my partner and just walked away empty handed, straight into Kundalini Yoga teacher training.
That's amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you for
And
sharing that.
there was a great loss to all of that because
Yeah.
suddenly I wasn't invited to the parties anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had no more VIP pass. No one was interested in
Yeah.
me, being a face at that particular gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurt.
It
That
does.
definitely hurt.
Yeah.
I was quite alone for a while, just a
Mm.
handful of friends.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that because I think that's true for a lot of us. And that's a really challenging part of the, being sovereign, I guess, and really honoring what's true for you is the
Yeah,
aloneness that can sometimes come with that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I made a whole new circle of friends.
Oh,
We
great.
had much better conversations.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, actually, because we share that experience in common. I didn't have my own company, but I was a fashion journalist in Paris,
Mm. Mm.
and I was 23, but I woke up crying every day because I didn't feel
Yeah.
connected to it. But of course, I was drinking champagne for breakfast and going to
Yeah.
Chanel shows and whatever else. And on paper, in our world, of course, that's something to be celebrated. But it's so painful to not really listen to your heart, and it's
Oh
very
gosh,
scary.
yes.
Yeah, so I
I remember
appreciate
on
that.
one occasion, because when you're doing the teacher training, you're encouraged to do sadhana in the morning, which is a
Mm-hmm.
5 o'clock start. And so I'd be walking, the same streets of London, making my way to the venue where I'm doing my teacher training. And at 4:30 in the morning, I'm walking past the nightclubs and
Mm.
I'm seeing my friends sprawling out of the doorways.
Oh no.
And I'm going in the opposite direction, dressed in white after a full night's sleep and, a very pure diet. So
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that and went, wow, right here, right now, two worlds are existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I feel like comes the point where you realize that they also are kind of one and the same ultimately in this reality,
Yeah.
and you can't judge people either for stumbling out of the bar.
No. I was
So
like, hi.
yeah. So around this time, were you already kind of coming into, I don't know if you refer to it this way, but the Gnostic awarenesses, the Gnostic teachings, and these kind of lineages, or was that something that happened for you over time?
That happened a little while later.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy in the Kundalini Yoga community.
Mm-hmm.
The area of sexuality and the second chakra really, really interested me. But
Mm-hmm.
at that time, and this was the 90s, I wasn't finding too many answers in
Yeah.
that community.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seemed to sort of come to a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this restlessness of spirit, because I'm so grateful for what I've learned, but I need to know more.
Yeah.
There's, in my opinion, back then, there was this kind of like uncharted territory, uncharted ground that I wanted to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't there. So once again, I found myself teetering on that threshold of, oh my God, I can feel another leap of faith coming on.
Yeah.
I'm now going to leave this community and I'm now going to start venturing on my own
Mm-hmm.
into myself.
Yeah.
No more teachers, no more communities. I'm now going to trust the little threads I can feel on the inside that say, follow me, eat me,
Mm-hmm.
drink me, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I got that.
And that, again, a very scary maneuver
Uh-huh.
because very established, made some lovely friends. I was part of a community.
Yeah.
I was, recognized and had my spiritual name. And
Mm-hmm.
now off I go again on my own. And
Yeah.
that would have been around the sort of 35, 38 mark.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time to really pick up that dialogue with Mary Magdalene,
Mm-hmm.
with Sophia, with
Mm-hmm.
Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
taking this more Gnostic path now,
Yeah.
literally feeling around in the dark with
Mm-hmm.
my fingertips as guides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's a beautiful way of
yeah, it
putting
just
it.
opened up.
Yeah.
That's all that was needed.
Yeah.
And another leap of faith.
And now, of course, you live in the south of France, the kind of region where a lot of this ancient wisdom
Yeah,
had spent some time as well, which
yes.
is very powerful. So yeah, those are lots of leaps of faith, and I guess for me, when you say that, I just think about how it resonates as kind of the path of the initiate, and that's sort of
Yes.
what it looks like. It's
Yeah.
not always comfortable, but we like to stay in the comfortable places. So that jumped out at me too when I was reading your bio, even before we got on, just how you make the point to say that the spiritual tradition or what you bring through doesn't need the permission or recognition from any other source. And I feel like I
Absolutely.
don't really hear a lot of other people speaking to that or speaking that way, but it's something that internally I've been looking at or just kind of like exploring within myself, this idea that sometimes initiation, or often I feel, is really an internal thing. Kind of like you're
Yeah.
saying, you came to this point where you were like, okay, I need to really listen to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A true initiation will terrify us
Mm-hmm.
as we stand there at the entrance. And it has to be that real. The whole system has to be ablaze with, a real cocktail of inner chemicals,
Yeah.
trepidation, excitement, love,
Mm-hmm.
ecstasy, all of those energies are needed. So it has to be as real as we can make it.
Mm-hmm.
If we know how it's going to turn out, it's not going to work.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And do you feel like all of those experiences are necessary to push you into that new space of consciousness in
Oh,
a
they were
way?
necessary for me,
Yeah.
for sure. Because
Yeah.
at first the voice was very quiet
Mm-hmm.
and I could have missed it and I could have put it down as imagination. But one day I decided And because it said, literally, come to the south of France.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it was the voice of Mary Magdalene,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of feminine persona or character, feminine Christ, or some sort of female that walked with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really outrageous to imagine that something like that could be heard within my own head.
Yeah.
But I did it, and
Mm-hmm.
it got stronger and clearer. And now it is, I am just fully faithful. I obey.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this voice 100%. I speak it when I do my transmissions. I don't edit. I say exactly what I hear.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that was also was that a bit of an initiation for you too, to not try to change what was coming through?
Absolutely. And the highest part was when I wrote Fierce Feminine Rising.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sat down to write it like I do my other books, pen and paper, ready to receive the chapter titles, ready to understand the numerology of it all. Mm-hmm. Is it 13 chapters? Is it 22? Mm-hmm. Ready to get that linear template. And the voice said, we're going to do this totally different. You've got to trust me completely. For a start, you're not going to type out one single word. You're going to get some kind of not dictaphone, when you speak into the computer. Sorry, it's not working at the moment. You're going to speak this into the computer, and you will notice my voice, not yours.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And it really is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. So I got something called Dragon Software, and obviously with a name like that, I was fully behind it. And so I spoke out what I was sensing, what I was feeling, what I was seeing. And then I sent those paragraphs to my nearest and dearest friends. And I said, what do you think of this level of writing? And they said, who wrote this? And I said, it was me. I spoke it. I didn't write it. Mm. And then I realized that by speaking something, you're using a different part of your brain. You're not using your linear masculine brain to write and type and, make paragraphs and space and arrange it nicely on the page. Mm-hmm. So I just left it as a sprawl of mystical words. And then eventually I had to go back and tidy it up and edit.
Sure.
But it's quite different. And that's what I mean by, yet again, the leap of faith.
Yeah.
Trusting the creative process.
Yeah. And putting also your trust and faith in something that you cannot see and that you don't have any tangible evidence for.
Or even understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let alone control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. What would you say when you look at now the Fierce Feminine Rising book that did come through, what would you say is kind of a main message that's there? Or, also what activated this for you to bring this through? Was it something about what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, well, I actually started it about 2 years ago, and it's been sat quietly in the publishers for at least 8 months, 10 months. And I was saying to them, come on, we got to release it now, earlier this year. And they said, no, we're going to hold on till January 2020. And I was quite frustrated. I was like, oh, no, we're going to miss the boat. But I can see now with this fabulous little being called Greta, the young Swedish schoolgirl. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, now we have some energy.
Yeah.
It is exactly right. January 2020 is exactly right. I can't remember your question. What was your question?
The other part was just what you feel like was a main message that's in there.
Oh, yes. It was many things collapsing all at the same time. So in 2018, we really saw the collapse of many spiritual teachers and traditions and communities. Tantra, yoga, spirituality. It was like one ousting after the other.
Yeah.
And then during the writing of the book, I decided I wanted to pepper it with 13, I called them sorrows of the world, my own personal heartbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a massive animal lover and nature protector.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made myself watch a few little movies from a reputable source of things that are actually really going on in the world, like factory farming, like the Yulin Dog Meat Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Sitting through those things, because I used to watch a few seconds and go, oh, no, I can't watch this. But I made myself sit and watch, the whole 20-minute documentary, which was not sensationalist at all. I mean, one of the guys I was following was Earthling Ed.
Mm-hmm.
He did a documentary called Land of Hope and Glory, which is the factory farming in the UK.
Oh.
And it's set to beautiful music and very slow, transmitting, heartfelt words as you watch this awful imagery of our farming, combined with also my own age. So I'm nearly 50 now. So I'm well and truly in this mystical menopause of so many changes, and my hormones are just like completely different. And so everything met in 2018. And as devoted as I am to sacred union and the sacred sexuality, my heart was not going in that direction. I was now looking out into the natural world and all the terrible collapses of the things that mattered the most to me. And so this voice started to arise, and it's not a different voice. It is the same voice as sacred sexuality, but there's a more pressing emergency on the horizon. And what I love about Fierce Feminine Rising is that it's not an apocalypse book. It's not a doomsday. It's an initiation. By golly, it's an initiation. And it's a real, you're getting pushed into the corner where you have to see these things. But behind it all is, like all the initiations I've ever experienced, this gorgeous blanket of deep love, holding this great big safety net for you to fall into. So it's kind of like, 2 minutes to midnight. We will possibly have to face some terrible, terrible things, but 2 minutes to midnight, in comes the transformation. And all that we thought we were going to lose and experience miraculously, graciously, and I don't know how, but it all falls into the right place. And we're all like this. Now we can create a new
right
man and woman sacred union.
So is that changing the way you're doing your work now as well?
Yes,
that awareness?
This is kind of like the backdrop to which everything gets delivered into. This sense of urgency, but it's an urgency with the heart. No one's panicking, no one's in fear, but I'm appealing to the deepest heart imaginable to do our work with even more gusto. And to keep an eye on our local nature. Like, for me, there's no point in me getting on a plane and going out to the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, because that in itself is a huge expense and a huge amount of fuel and My message is, be vigilant to your local community. Where can you show up for where some kind of injustice is taking place? If we all did that.
Which brings me to an interesting question that I've been seeing come up quite a bit in the world recently, which is this idea around the law of attraction and how these kinds of things happen because we've created it and it's part of our evolutionary process and these kinds of things. What is your perspective on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And that, again, is a huge message within the book. Be vigilant. Things will arise. You have made a promise almost to show up at this time. You will see things and hear things that are uncomfortable. And you are being invited to use that voice of yours And to make stand and to stand your ground and to speak out and to break the silence. And to do all of this, not for your benefit necessarily, but for the benefit for the undefended or the innocent or the ones who simply are not at that level to stand their ground or speak out right now. And it's just such a win-win situation all round, although it's extremely scary. Extremely scary to speak out. And be that one who doesn't go along with the crowd.
Yeah, that is terrifying. For all of us, for anyone who chooses to do that. Yeah. So do you feel like there's also a connection perhaps between the way that we interact with our bodies and each other and our sexuality and the way we're treating the planet and all of these things being interconnected in a way?
Oh gosh, absolutely and completely. My feeling is that the highest sexual act, the highest exchange, whether it's woman, woman, man, 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 woman, it is to open to reality, a reality that's here in the world, in nature, and the cosmic and the Gnostic reality. But that isn't what we've been taught. We've been taught this thing called sex. Which is to chase the orgasm, chase the ejaculation, have as many encounters as possible, which are pretty short-lived and hormonally driven. So that's a program, you know, a beautiful friend of mine called that the sexual misery program, and I went, boom, that's it right there. It's addictive, it's hooked into the emotional secretions, and it never, ever, ever delivers. You might get the odd glimpse every now and again. But if we were to learn how to open sexually, including the full heart, intimacy, the soul, ancestors even, then we would expand into this glorious natural world. I say, you know, pointing at the window over there where the mountains are. You would be embedded within this template and receiving the cosmic download or upload. And your whole system would be like an Alex Gray painting. You'd see your nadis, your meridians, your chakras, boom, in you go, embedded. And then when you look at the ocean full of plastic, or you see, you know, the nuclear power plant pumping out its smoke, you would be called to act not from a place of fear or anger, but from a simple, solid, sacred no. You know, like Standing Rock. That was a beautiful movement where we saw all of our nearest and dearest get in their trucks and go across the desert to sort of like, you know, a spirit of celebration. No. This pipeline is not going down. And it was like a festival environment, which is exactly right. This is how this new paradigm comes through. It comes through joy and celebration and creativity, even if you are having a hard time with the police. But still, that is a much more powerful vibration than going up and against these old crumbling powers.
Yeah, it seems like it's more about just creating the new and sort of really channeling love into that. And so then that begs the question, you know, what do we do to help hearts awaken on the planet? And that seems to be like a primary focus that's kind of underlying all of these conversations. You know, certainly we don't want to factory farm animals or pollute the ocean when our hearts are open. And we don't want to just have mechanical sex when our hearts are open. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. It feels like we're polluting ourselves. So that aspect of the awakening seems, you know, sometimes it can seem overwhelming. Like, how is that going to happen? But do you maybe have some wisdom on, you know, what we could all do to support that in an individual way, in a collective way?
I would say the most potent way is to gather with others. That is when real amazing miracles can happen, because in the gathering of others is the raising of the Shakti, the raising of the internal life force, and the inspiration and the support and the love and the intimacy that can often come through gathering with others, whether it's dancing, whether it's yoga, whether it's festivals, or just going to a seminar for the weekend. That is where the medicine is. And being alone and doing it all by ourselves, that's old paradigm. You know, living the hermit, it's important. Step on a stage, it is important. But I believe when we gather with others, that is when invisible doors start opening.
Yeah.
And the greater medicine, the greater energy gets created.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do need community, and that's, you know, certainly a medicine that has been in some ways maybe watered down to just happen through like screens and like the kind of connection, you know, we might not be seeking that as actively in the ways that really enhance us. So yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. So with, you know, all of this awareness happening for you, and kind of it sounds like a shifting maybe in your focus a little bit. Do you think that this is also coming through for you with like your connections to Mary Magdalene and these other alliances that you have? Is that kind of the download that you're getting as well in general?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, where I live in the French Pyrenees, I have this feeling that because obviously there was a crusade that came here to kind of quash this spirit that had already shown itself about 800 years ago in the Cathar, which is the spiritual descendants of Mary Magdalene. And so when I look at this alchemically, now we know those people lived a very pure, a very mystical, a very potent life. And the majority of them got burnt at the stake or sealed in caves by the Crusaders. So their flesh literally seeped into the earth, whether it's through flames or just slow demise and decay. That flesh carried the light of their mystical experiences, the soul that was very, very deeply embedded within these people because of the purity of their lifestyles. And I just can't help believing and feeling again and again and again that this quality of consciousness is actually in the land. It's in the places where there's that word again, gathered, where they gathered, where they celebrated, where they really amped up the transmission. And so this is what I'm doing, and this is what I invite others to come and experience with me. Let's walk the land. You know, let's draw this energy up and into our present day human bodies. Let's listen, let's soak up, let's be infused by this spirit, which is very, very clearly still here. And this is when you know, you read out my bio at the beginning, an inexhaustible tradition, a tradition that's always been here, always will be, literally gets passed, you know, from mother to daughter, from mother to daughter. It's a feminine principle. Even science can confirm that. The mitochondria DNA, there's a certain particle of DNA that only gets passed mother to daughter, mother to daughter. And that piece of feminine DNA can go all the way back to the very first female human. This is not me being imaginative. This is me being biological, truthful, and scientifically factual.
That's
so
amazing.
This is fascinating.
It is. And it also reminds me of what many of us felt when Notre Dame was on fire, which was that many of the Cathars were burnt at the stake in front of Notre Dame, and that it was actually on top of an Isis temple originally. Absolutely. And that there was a lot of symbology there around, you know, maybe just purifying the way that we have in many ways denigrated some of the sacredness of that way of living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to put in one little nugget. It was an Isis temple, absolutely. But what I love about it is it had an altar to Osiris.
Oh.
That and for me, you know, someone who's really into sacred union, this is just finishes off everything.
Yeah.
So there you have it right there. You have Isis, you have Osiris, you have this resurrecting king, this Christ figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when that fire came, yes, of course, it was the rise of the sacred feminine that was underneath it all.
Mm-hmm.
But she had an altar
Yeah.
to the sacred masculine.
Yeah. It's certainly the call is for the resurrection of union on the planet without question.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not just women rising up and being powerful, but it's really all of us, you know, coming back to that awareness of the heart in whatever way that looks for each human. I did not know that, so that's really cool, and thank you for telling me. So just to touch briefly on your work with sacred union as well. So Anaiya also has a book called Sacred Sexual Union, which is very cool, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that very deeply, because it's also the only time I've read something that speaks so truthfully to the journey of sacred partnership in all of the different, as you call them, the wounds of love, that come up as initiatory gateways, and what that really looks like, and your emphasis as well on the self inner marriage, which is so powerful. Yeah. Do you see that as well as part of the healing path that we're on globally?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to put a little something out there to the ladies. I mean, to yourself, to me.
Yeah.
Yes, I look the part. Everyone says, "Oh my God, you're so fabulous, you're so feminine," and I'm like, "Oh, if only you knew." I am driven by masculine energy. My dynamic, my endless ideas. You know, the creation of the website, and you know, I've done a range of T-shirts recently.
Yeah, I just saw that.
My everything. And then I looked at it recently and went, oh my God, my sacred masculine dynamic energy is absolutely supporting the female in me that's slowly arising, and so many other women. I went, wow. So should you be like that, don't lower that masculine energy.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people say, oh God, I'm way too masculine. I need to rein that in. And I'm like, no, don't rein in it. Leave it exactly where it is.
Yeah.
What we have to do is raise the feminine presence to be equal to that dynamic, outward acting, outward creating superpower.
Yeah.
Because, you know, some of us can really berate masculine energy, like get down. You're too outwardly focused.
Or too linear.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. We need both. I mean, it's really not a good look to just be one or the other either, which is interesting, that imbalance. So I just wondered if you wanted to speak to, just briefly, I recently was gifted the book Sacred Oils, actually, which was my first introduction to the lineage that you are also bringing forth. And I've seen a lot of your transmissions right now are focused on that. So is there something you'd love to share about maybe that also being part of the medicine available to us at this time, and how that is playing into what you're doing? Yeah.
Working with the oils, I've actually got one right here. It's Angelica. I've just done a transmission literally half an hour ago for this one.
Oh, I thought it was tonight. I'm on a different time zone.
It is tonight. It is tonight, but I recorded it about half an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
I can send you a copy if you like.
I think I already get it.
What I notice with these incredible beings is that when you realize this isn't aromatherapy,
right?
This is an old priestess tradition. You just approach the whole thing from a totally different angle. So these oils take me to the place where this transmission voice has been residing all along. So it's kind of like a wordless no mind. You're using the fragrance as a vehicle. not only to go deeper into your own self, but to stay awake. Because sometimes when I go into a really deep place, I am literally half a hair away from sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But the oil, you see, keeps you awake.
Yeah.
So you're going into very profound spaces, but because you have this really strong, pungent oil or sweet aroma, constantly being inhaled and drawn up into your brain, you are vigilant into like new paradigms and places in your own being.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm so super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vehicle. This aroma is a vehicle. It's a bridge.
Yeah.
It takes you from one state to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the purity of these oils, you're going into that very pure space.
Yeah.
And of course, I love the connection with Israel, with Egypt, the old priestess ways.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that it's exactly the same elixir that was used back then.
Mm-hmm.
We can really glean, we can really retrieve our information, our memories from those times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yum.
Yes. And just to reiterate, because I'm not sure if everyone got this part, but it's quite different from essential oils and maybe the way they're more commercially being circulated right now. These are very, very special. There's only like 15 or 20 of them, maybe more.
Absolutely.
Of the sacred oils that you're referencing. And spikenard is one of them as well, of course, that we know from Mary Magdalene and the anointing of Yeshua.
Yes.
Which is very powerful. And so these are for journeying purposes, which is really amazing. They're not like, just for the diffuser, or they really have a totally different purpose. Yeah. Would you?
I mean, when you inhale, before I'd kind of go, that's nice. Now I close off one nostril.
Okay.
And I inhale, and I know to take it to the pineal and pituitary, and down the back into my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're on a very different journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through both nostrils, one for the solar, one for the lunar paths, up into the pineal, down the Sushumna, through the caduceus, out through the nadis.
Are these, I know you have a line of oils as well, so are you utilizing the sacred oils in those?
Absolutely. These are created by lovely Anaiya Sophia Hart from Sedona.
Oh, cool.
So we kind of like, co-created together. I just threw in a few ideas, and she went, I know exactly what you're after.
Oh, wow.
And absolutely, she came out with this range of 9 beautiful Sophia temple oils, but all the credit and all the glory must go to her, because this lady really knows how to bring those oils together to perfect even a certain gateway that we might be after. And so I asked her to come up with, the royal bridegroom, Holy Sophia, Sarah, the daughter of Yeshua and Mary, sacred sexuality, sacred union, all the beautiful things that I'm attracted to.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. So Anaiya has oils. She has t-shirts. You just came out with a clothing line. She has books. She has, I have your temple pass, so I get all of your transmissions.
Very good.
She has courses, and she does also retreats and immersive experiences. You can also go stay with her at her bed and breakfast in the south of France. Yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just come and be with us for a few days.
Yeah.
Meet Pete. Meet the dogs. Meet Kitty Cat.
And Pete is your partner, Anaiya's partner.
Pete is my husband, my partner, my best friend, my sacred playmate. He's on a very similar path, obviously more interested in men. And also, the men's route to ever deepening.
Yeah.
relationship. And the qualities of the path, what do they have to heal? You know, the mother wound, the distrust of the feminine, the manipulative ability that the feminine has. And of course, especially the feminine that might have one foot in the priestess path. That brings in another layer, another depth. Because, you know, there has been misfortunate things in our past that did affect the soul and the spirit of the man, of the male. So there's a lot of healing to be done. But by golly, if we can get there and come back to that clean, holy ground together, especially if we're carrying those old traditions, then we can really, really genuinely, from a very holy place, create together.
Yeah. Which is the dream of all dreams, the heaven on earth creation. Yeah. That's beautiful. Was he already doing this work when you came together, or was that something you've kind of journeyed into together?
Oh no, we've always been doing this work before we ever met. That was what attracted me to Pete. I'd see his writings on Facebook, and I go, "Ooh, oh, I like what he's writing about. This man has depths. This man has traveled. He's been round the block a few times." Yeah. And so, you know, for a few years, we'd just appreciate one another on Facebook, until one day he came to this area in France and simply knocked on the front door.
How wonderful.
And never, ever left. He didn't even live here. He lived in another country. He lived in Denmark.
Amazing.
He didn't even bother going back.
Aww.
He stayed.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's great to hear. It's always so interesting to hear how, you know, just people's stories around their partnership and how they come together. And I was thinking, we don't have to talk about this, but I know that you were part of some of the a Tantra Teacher that had a story come out a couple of years ago, and that was really powerful to see that voicing. And I'm sure that was a big initiation of its own as well.
Absolutely. That's where, you know, I get everything from a lived experience. And that's why I can say to those watching and listening, it is scary.
Yeah, it is.
It is the scariest thing ever, but it gives you so much medicine and so much love and so much support comes your way from all sorts of unpredictable places. You think you're on your own. You think you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, but it's only like that for a few days, a few weeks, and then boom, you're out the other side. And all that's left, you know, even when I look back now, all that's left is love and appreciation in my heart. No ill feeling, no judgment, no finger pointing, because I can see it now from a greater place. Wow, that was just something I had to go through.
Yeah. Do you mind just unpacking that slightly? Because I think it might be useful for people, like forgiving or kind of moving through something like that and then being at that other place. Was there anything because I'm sure there were other emotions that came up as well. So what did it feel like for you to finally be in the place of, okay, I'm letting this go. I see this with love.
Well, in a very loose way. I was involved in a spiritual tantric community where my body, my intuition was saying things are not what they appear to be. There are a few elephants in the room. And at that time, I ignored what my intuition was sending, you know, red flags. I myself was also having a really hard time with a very powerful form of energy coming my way. And again, because I was so young and naive, there was a naivety about it. I couldn't tell, is this wisdom or is this cruelty? Or is this abuse?
Right.
Or is this exactly what I need to diminish and break down my ego?
Right.
So I went with it. I let it happen. I let it happen because I was so devoted to the spiritual path.
Yeah.
I wanted to break open.
Yeah.
And I'd read, this is what it's like in the guru system of India.
Yeah.
You really do have a hard time.
Yeah.
You are beheaded by the
Yeah.
guru.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I was like, okay, I guess this is it. I guess this is how painful it's supposed to be.
Right.
But after a while, that intuition got stronger and stronger, and my self-love got stronger and stronger. I went, hang on a minute. No, this is not right. This is cruel.
Yeah.
This is abusive. And my God, it's happening to other people.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my gut.
Yeah.
And so, number one, I stepped away from the community. But for a good many years, I was silent. I didn't speak out because I felt a loyalty to the community. And then finally, after I heard more stories, more of the same, I started to read stories that I could have sworn were my own, because it was a real cycle. It was happening again to other women, much younger than myself.
Yeah.
And I thought, I gotta say something.
Yeah.
And so luckily, we all gathered together and we supported one another, because one by themselves is a very hard and bumpy ride. When you have support, when you speak out together. But we helped each other review what we were saying and making sure that we weren't coming from a place of attack or judgment or blame. And at the beginning we were.
Yeah, sure.
Because there was still anger and sorrow and hurt and pain in there. And so we prayed together, we meditated together, we healed together until our voices were really pure and fierce, but owning what we went through, why we went through it, why we allowed it to happen, confessing our part.
Yeah.
And then just boom, out it goes out into the world.
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah.
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 But what happened was beautiful bonding, level of connection between us all. And again, I look back now and go, wow, we must have agreed to this long before we came to Earth. Because that was a move. That was a move.
Yeah.
We
Well,
made a move.
Rippled throughout, space-time, throughout the collective, and those kind of activations of the feminine voice as well have such a profound effect on all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we look back to that year, 2018, it was literally one after the other after the other.
It's still going. Yeah.
Communities that you couldn't believe. Oh my God, not here. Surely not here.
Right.
I don't want to mention any names, so you just do your research and
it's
you'll
all
see.
out there. Yeah. Yeah.
This was widespread.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Which is, was a learning edge for me, that sometimes compassion looks like accountability. Like that is the best thing you can do from a heart space, is actually to hold someone or hold a community accountable to not cause harm.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for probing that question. It is important. It is important not to be hiding behind quiet doors.
Well, yes. And I think my sense is that right now, this is just part of the purification process as well, that a lot of not just women, but especially women are learning how to come out of these dynamics. And that part of really speaking up is terrifying. And so hearing other people share about it, I think is really soothing and supportive. So thank you. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
So, Anaiya, where can everybody find you? What is the best place to connect with you and stay close to what you're doing in the world?
Well, I'm in the usual areas. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, my website, anaiyasophia.com. Very interactive. Every month I bring through at least 2 or 3 new paths to take a travel down. So yes, nothing remains the same. It's forever changing and expanding. It's like a hologram.
Yeah.
And very in the moment, like the transmission this evening. I mean, for me, this is evening.
Yeah.
So I didn't record it yesterday. I didn't record it a few days ago. I waited right until the last moment. What's fresh? What's current? What can I hear? What can I feel?
Yeah.
And just pushing it through like babies.
Yeah.
3 babies a month.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah. And you, I made a point to like get up to date with what you're doing. So you have Sacred Body Awakening happening a couple of times this year, which is really cool. That's an ecstatic, it's a Mary Magdalene teaching, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like a temporary temple. And I forgot, I've got some really fabulous good news. I'm bringing the facilitator training to Asheville, North Carolina in April.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My sister Anaiya Sophia, used to be known as Cara Gillingham.
Yeah.
We're using this lady Phoenix's dome. So this is really fabulous. Amazing. That finally I can bring it to the States, because everyone's been coming over here, for the experience. In 2 days' time, we're starting a Sacred Union Awakening where men are now gathering to learn this temple way of anointing and being deeply and intimately with another, whether it's another man or another woman. So we're really crossing these thresholds now of, brother and sisterhood, because that is where the deepest healing is.
Yeah.
When a woman can open fully and completely to her 2 trustable brothers, not in a sexual way, but in I am completely undefended and unprotected right now. And I choose to be extremely close to you 2 brothers, to take me through the eye of the needle of where there was trespass, there was sexual projection, all the things that we have to experience as we grow up. And these 2 brothers, these 2 pillars, are holding this very noble space. That level of healing you don't get out of a book.
No. Yeah.
You don't get out of a transmission.
Yeah.
Only in the body is something like that real. And as I said, it hasn't happened yet. We begin the week-long retreat on Thursday. I can't wait to see what transpires.
It's amazing.
Because in my imagination, you're done.
Yeah.
You are done. Your body has been restored. There's nothing more now to fear from the opposite sex.
Right. Yeah.
You're done.
That's powerful.
Yeah. But I don't know for sure until it really, really happens.
I think
so this first retreat is very explorative. It's very experimental. Let's see what happens.
Great. I think it sounds like it's going to be amazing. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to share with me today. And I really appreciate everything that you shared, and really excited to be able to put it out into the wider world. And I'm sure I will also see you soon at an event or elsewhere. And yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for having me here.